On behalf of all of us at Greif, welcome to the Discover Greif webinar series. Thank you for joining us for our first deep dive into one of the largest industries utilizing industrial packaging. My name is Cheryl Cottle. I am responsible for marketing and communications for our Rigid Industrial Packaging and Services division, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. We are pleased to have a couple of new faces join us today with a couple of our regular presenters. First off, we have Jen Daly, who is responsible for global strategic marketing and brings with her over 25 years of marketing experience. Before joining Greif almost 4 years ago, Jen has experience in the healthcare and pharmaceutical industries. Also new to our webinar series is Hans Buns-Winsberg, who has been with Greif since 2010, when he joined EMEA's team as a key account manager. Recently, Hans became responsible for leading our global key account managers team, and he spent over 13 years in the chemical industry prior to joining Greif. In addition, we have our two global product managers whom you've met before. They've been regulars on our Discover Greif series. Luca Battoni, who is responsible for IBCs and plastic products, and Alan Sersikova, who is responsible for our steel drum product line. We are recording the webinar to share with those who are unable to attend, and it will be sent out to you via email later today. In addition, if you're interested in the PowerPoint presentations, you will have those available for you as well if you just reach out to your account managers. We are using Zoom today, and you'll find a chat button in the bottom center of your screen where you can submit your questions. Please feel free to do so throughout the presentation, and we'll entertain those at the end. Our agenda for today will be as follows. We'll begin with a brief introduction to the lubricant market and trends, followed by the types of industrial packaging that are used in the industry, and then Alan, Luca, and Hans will share with you the products and services that Greif offers to support the market. And then we'll finally close with your questions. Jen, I'll let you get us started. Hi, Jen, you're still on mute. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. And thank you, participants, for joining this webinar. We're really inspired by your interest and look forward to your feedback on these industry-focused webinars. If you are a customer of ours, you've likely heard us speak about our vision, in industrial packaging, be the best performing customer service company in the world. One of the many things we strive for in our quest to achieve that vision is to more intimately understand our customers, including the challenges and opportunities you face when showing up for work each day. It's not enough for us to simply offer you our portfolio of products and services. Rather, it's vital we bring you solutions that solve real business challenges and help your organization grow. To ensure we bring you solutions specific to your industry, Greif has more deeply explored the various industries we serve. And today we will share what we've learned and how it has shaped our recommendations to drive value in lubricants. In our exploration, we evaluated the three product types, lubricants, additives, and greases, as well as the subsegments of automotive, industrial, marine, and aerospace. It's important to note we do not claim to be experts in lubricants, and we continue to look to you, our customers, for ongoing feedback and insights. In fact, our analysis, which included secondary market research, was primarily infused by our own data and, most importantly, many conversations with customers of all size, scope, and across each region. I should note we began our research prior to COVID, so the forecast we share here is pre-COVID. In 2019, there was approximately 41 million tons of lubricants manufactured. The industry was experiencing positive growth and the future looked quite promising with strong compounded annual growth rate through 2027. Then COVID, and lubricants was one of the hardest industries hit. What we hear from lubricant experts is there is at least 15% and in some regions up to 30% drop in consumption expected in 2020. I'd like to pause here to take a poll. We thought it might be interesting to hear from your peer group the anticipated long-term impact of the pandemic. All answers will be shown in aggregate, so there will be no way to tell how individuals or company representatives answer. So our question is, when do you anticipate the industry to recover to pre-COVID volumes? Do you expect to see the recovery in 2021, 22, 23, 24, Or do you feel like the industry is forever changed and you don't anticipate there will be a return to 2019 volumes? So you can please go ahead and cast your vote. And while we wait for everyone to respond, what I find most interesting is to watch how the pandemic will change the way we live, work, and do business in the long term. For example, will work from home become a norm? Will we see fewer people taking public transportation or resuming air travel? And clearly, there are some sustaining cultural trends that will emerge as a result of the pandemic and the impact and will impact this industry. Looking optimistically, there are some nice signals in certain regions that retail automotive purchases are on the rise, indicating some confidence in the long-term economy. And based on our own data, we are starting to see some modest recovery in certain regions and lubricants. So let's see what the results indicate. Great. So 2022, most of you feel that the recover, so that's wonderful. I think it's great that that we're optimistic about that. I think we are as well. Okay, so looking at non-COVID impacts on the industry, our analysis defined 5 key trends. By far, sustainability is a key driver. With many customers, we find sustainability as a goal at the corporate level, but doesn't necessarily translate down to purchasing goals. That is not the case in lubricants. It's an industry where you have a keen interest and motivation. Coupled with sustainability are movements towards electric vehicles, biosynthetic lubricants, and a greater need for cleanliness throughout the manufacturing process, including using cleaner lubricants. Finally, there's a strong movement from DIY to do it for me as OEMs develop direct relationships with manufacturers. So how do these macro trends transfer to trends in industrial packaging? Our lubricant customers are looking for packaging to help support their sustainability goals, first and foremost. In steel, we are helping our customers move to down gauge drums, and in markets where that isn't ideal, we leverage drums that can be reconditioned. Plastic and IBC are seeing greater interest in using PCR, and of course, end of life is increasingly important. In some regions, tracking and anti-counterfeiting are priorities based on brand reputation and the economic impact of diverted or tampered products. From a tracking and digital perspective, the pandemic has had an interesting impact and greater reliance on real-time data. So we are seeing a need for and have innovated solutions to drive digital engagement for both internal and customer logistics and inventory. Finally, branded packaging, managing your products uniquely yours, has helped customers deliver on brand development goals as well as anti-counterfeiting. So packaging used by the industry. As we think about industrial packaging, this is the breakdown of how that 41 million tons of lubricants are moved. What lubricants are not transported in bulk are primarily packaged into steel drums and small plastic bottles. I'll now turn it over to you, Alan, and who will share Greif's solutions unique to your packaging trends and needs.
Yes, thank you, Jen. So let's have a look at the Greif solutions for the lubricant industry. So first of all, we have a very extensive global footprint. And as you can see on this slide, we have about 128 global facilities with 70 large steel drum plants, 22 intermediate steel drum plants, which are producing 50, 60 liter drums, 12 IBC plants that we call GCube in Greif, and 24 plastic plants. So this global footprint allows us to deliver equivalent products worldwide. And the main interesting thing of this footprint is to have a good backup production possibility to ensure continuity of supply. And most of the time, our plants are strategically located near your plants. And so, and as we can deliver most of the packaging types, you can partner with a single supplier for all your needs. In terms of steel drum solution now, if we make a focus on steel drums, Let's start with the standard drums. The large drums is probably the most standardized product, industrial packaging in the world. You can get exactly the same large drum in North America, Europe, Africa, everywhere. So the large drums is made of steel, of course, from 0.7 to 1 millimeter in general. Sometimes for additives, you can go up to 1.2 millimeter, but it's not the rule. We have W beads, which gives a high vacuum resistance to the drum. Of course, the drums are very often exported, so the dimensions are fitting with sea containers to optimize export cost. And for the light drums, you have also the option to use corrugations, which give some strength to the body. The second standard we see in steel drums for the lubricant industry is 50, 60 liter drums or 15 US gallon drums for our American colleagues. So these drums is not standardized in the world. There is no global norm to produce the small drums. And so every plant, every country have their own specification, means that the height can be a bit different, the diameter can be a bit different. But in general, it's a bit similar, and there are two ISO beads, and sometimes you can find also on the market what we call the flat beads, replacing the ISO beads. Next slide. The big trend we saw the last years for this industry, and it has been also pushed by Greif, is the down gauging. So in terms of thickness, you are in the graph, I will not go into details, but you can see that, for instance, in Latin America, they are using very light drums, which is orange bars, and there are many using the 888 drums, means 0.8 millimeter all around. EMEA is really getting to these directions too, and it has started already some years ago. And now we see even in North America, and it's just started in APAC as well, and there is a significant trend to down gauging. So of course, it gives some potential savings, but it is also good for sustainability because of course, less steel we use, better it is for the CO2 impact. So just to illustrate what I just said, that you see here on the graph, the CO2 impact of each type of drums from a 12-12-12 means 1.2 millimeter all around to 888 drums. And for instance, if you are using today a 10-9-10, which was a standard yesterday of the lubricant industry, and you move to 888 drums, you can save 4 kilos CO2 per drum, which is really a big number. So that's what we are really pushing as Greif. And so we propose to standardize on the 888 drums, which should be for us the standard drums for the lubricant industry. And for that, we also need, of course, to have a look at the resistance of the drums. So if you can move to the next slide, and to make sure that you do not have any problem in terms of resistance, and mainly for the extreme transport conditions, when you export drums far away in sea containers, it can create vibration, and then you can initiate a steel stress cracking. So to avoid this on the light thicknesses, we have developed a special bottom that we call SDB with a special shape, which can solve this problem. And so we can guarantee that you will not have any issue, a quality issue, if you go for down gauging. For grease, which is another part of the lubricant industry, we apply the same rules, and so we can go down to 0.8 millimeter all around as well for the open-head drums. We can deliver, of course, plain drums, but we can also deliver lacquer drums for cleanliness or plastic bags in it. And specifically for the USA, we have developed a plastic grease cake, which is fitting specially for the grease. For the additives, which is the last part of the lubricant industry, the general specifications are very similar to the lube drums. The main difference is coming from the fact that the additives are usually dangerous products and they are solvent-based. And so you need, it's a flammable product, and we had big events in USA, and you know recently what happened to Lubrizol in France. When you have a fire, it can become a disaster. So we have developed the fusible plugs, which allow the gases to vent and to relieve the pressure and preserving the structural integrity of the drums. So that's available with our Trasher company, and so we can propose it everywhere. Next slide. In terms of branding, as Jen just explained before, we see also a big trend to have more branded drums and more decorated drums. So in Europe, it started mainly in Europe when we had already the lithography techniques or the offset techniques. And so we could produce already this type of drums where we can print any kind of image on the steel drums, large or small. And so we have developed this technique with a new technology, and now we can deliver these fully printed drums everywhere in Europe. We started in North Africa as well with Algeria, and we are starting development in other regions. So this product is really ideal for premium brands and premium products, but you can also, of course, use it for special events such as anniversary, trade shows. Lubricant industry is also using a lot of sponsorship events, so that's also an ideal product for sponsoring or for promotional campaigns. Sorry, when you are launching a new product or a new brand, it's just perfect to start with this type of drums. And then we have developed as Greif also many different specific solutions when you have a specific need. So here I just give two examples. The first one is what we call the advanced internal cleanliness, which is a specific production process to guarantee a better level of cleanliness of the steel drums. And it is used mainly in the windmills industry and the hydraulic fluids, and especially for the aeronautics. And the second example is a silicone-free drums, what we call non-internationally added, which is more for the automotive industry. So when you deliver lubricant to the automotive industry, then your customer can guarantee that he will have no painting issues because of silicones in the drum. And then the last example is the BPA-free linings. So you know that it is now a legal requirement in most of the regions. So we have developed it for the food and the pharma applications. And for instance, when you are producing white oils, it's a need in many regions. And now I will give the floor to Luca, who will explain a little bit more about our IBCs.
Thank you, Alain, and good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining this lubricants webinar. So let me start with our standard GCube, which are used in the lubricants and additive industry, because we are serving, despite the IBC portion of the packaging is not as big as a steel drum. Anyway, there are hundreds of thousands of IBCs which are used every year in your industry. And basically, we are providing two types of IBCs, which are changing basically by the pallets. We have a wooden pallet or hybrid pallet. Those are really differentiated by the type of using. Wooden pallets are mainly used for one-way shipping, while the hybrid pallet are used for multi-way trip of IBCs. For the rest, I would say that the characteristic of the standard IBC remains similar in the sense of the cage. As you probably know and have seen in other webinars, the GCube cage is one of the strongest cage in the market, supporting really heaviest weight during the shipping, allowing you to reduce the transport cost of your shipment. We have really customer using UN approved IBCs or standard IBCs, so for not dangerous product. And then the bottle is always transparent. The top lid is usually a ventilated lid, because there are different temperature of filling, and then with an immediate closing, this is allowing not to have any deformation on the IBC. And then last but not least, usually the valve which is used is a 2 inches valve, and you surely know that our valve is the only one in the market allowing you to have only polyethylene in contact with your product, in the bottle, in the top lid, and also in the valve, in all its components. So that's really a specificity of our valve. So moving ahead from the standard, you can see that we have developed some specific application also for the lubricant industry, in the sense of the different way of managing IBC. So the GCube Connect combined with the GCube Lease is a different way of handling IBC. GCube Connect is an IBC which is equipped with an IoT device, able to geolocate in every moment your IBC, and even to measure the filling level of the IBC. On top of this, also you can also track the temperature of the environmental condition of the IBC. This is really changing completely the management of the IBC, because you can proactively approach and proactively manage your connection with your customers. So you can anticipate your delivery to customer, knowing that they are going to empty the IBC. You can better manage the logistic, you better manage your production cost, your inventory level, because you can see in every moment the real situation outside your factory, instead of handling everything on forecast. So this is a real visibility about the real situation. And then you can be prepared about the future, because those type of IBCs are directly connected and can manage the blockchain or smart contract way of handling, which is the way of handling in the future. And again, last but not least, reducing the CO2 emission, because with a better management of your logistics, you can better use your freight cost and transport as well. So really, this is a completely new concept of handling IBC. So there are a lot of detail behind. I'm more than happy to answer your questions outside in case of further interest. Moving ahead, the sustainability is for sure one of the key elements for all of us. We as a producer of packaging, you as a filler as a packaging. And the GCube EcoBalance is one of the latest development of Greif, which is an IBC made with a plastic bottle composed by 60% of recycled polyethylene. This is really the highest value that you can find in the market. So, and this is really something that will surely help you to reduce the CO2 emission and improve your sustainability efforts. Consider that the plastic bottle itself is able to reduce by 38% the CO2 emissions compared to a traditional bottle made by 100% of plastics. The inner layer remains 100% virgin polyethylene, and the two external layers of our 3 layers technology is absolutely made by recycled polyethylene, coming from our own collection of empty IBCs. So the IBCs are collected, the polyethylene is grinded, washed, and then extruded again in pallets to be extruded again in a new bottle. So in this case, also a huge improvement in terms of sustainability efforts there. So this is really to highlight a little bit the latest development on your industry on IBCs. Let's now move into small plastic, because we have seen that this is representing a big portion of the packaging used in your industry. JCR is our latest development in jerrycans, because this is called the Jerrycan Reinforced, and this is part of a global initiative by Greif, because as Alan said, we have 24 sites where we are producing small plastics, all around the globe, of which a big portion is made by small plastics. And then JCR is now the new line designed by 20-liter jerrycans or 25-liter jerrycans all around the globe. So you can find the same identical jerrycan in Singapore, or in Israel, or in Italy, or in Latin America, or in Sweden. So this is really the way of Greif to standardize and to offer to global customers identical products everywhere around the globe. While we have developed this global project, we wanted to have some also sustainable improvement. And basically JCR, with a specific design, is able to reduce by almost 10% the weight, keeping the performances of traditional jerrycans. So this is really a global product, but really able to reduce CO2 emissions, also with the fact that can be also produced and is also produced with recycled polyethylene as well. So really a huge evolution that we made in small plastics. Going smaller, we know that and we are serving the market with even smaller packaging, because there is also 1, 2, and 4, and 5 liters jerrycans that we are producing for our lubricant industry. And we are doing it in a few countries, especially in Morocco, and this is the main production where we are delivering to our customer, but we are willing to invest in further production. So that's why we want to show this, in order to assist you in case of further needs of this type of design in other regions where you would need to have this packaging. This is really a packaging studied for your industry. This is made for very easy handling. This is labeled also with the special stickers by our customers. We have safety stocks in order to deliver to our customer within 24 hours. So a lot of details which has been studied to serve your industry as best option overall. So this is really to have a short highlight on plastic products. There are much more that you can ask then later or after this call at any time. So I will hand over now to answer for further details on our services.
Thank you, Luca. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure to be with you today and to present some of Greif's services tailored to address your challenges. Whether it is in reducing costs through optimizing your logistics or implementing new IBC service models like Luca came to explain, branding with the 360 drum, or digitally printed drum, and protecting those brands, or developing sustainable solutions for your packaging needs, we are there to assist you in realizing these objectives. So let's have a closer look at some of these solutions, and let's begin with logistics. Safety is your and our top priority for sure. There's no doubt about that. And to mitigate the risk of your people having an accident while unloading steel drums, we developed an automatic unloading system. It's a robot that is custom designed to be integrated in your on-site supply chain. It's a safe and an effective solution, ideally suited for lubricant plants with a high volume of steel drums. We manage your inventory, and while you focus on your core business of producing and developing lubricants for the future, you do not need to worry about receiving your packaging on time, in full, and in the right quality. We can do that for you. Space can be a limiting factor in safely storing your packaging on site, or you may need a limited number of branded drums to be filled. In those cases, the Greif Express Box is a solution. It's a sheltered storage of a limited number of drums that is easily picked up and transported by forklift to the filling line. It can also be perfectly integrated into an automatic unloading system. We manage logistic platforms on behalf of our customers, and we coordinate all activities to ensure that your packaging is readily available to be filled. We manage the order process, optimize inbound logistics, and guarantee there is always enough packaging on site. Our lubricant customers are very much focused on developing digital solutions to enhance the performance of the supply chain, and creating visibility of your products throughout the entire value chain is beneficial to find ways to optimize and reduce your supply chain costs. And Luca already gave an example of our GCube Connect, but there's also other different technologies and we can work together on implementing that solution that best fit your specific needs. And we offer barcoding, active sensors, and other mobile solutions. In some geographical areas in the world, counterfeit products are taking away your profit, and more importantly, are damaging the value of your brands. Together with our colleagues from Trisure, we developed a range of solutions to differentiate your brand from counterfeit products. They can be part of an integrated solution, including track and trace technologies, or any other protective measures you already have in place. Sustainability is definitely becoming, and if it not already is, a top priority in the lubricants industry. And many of you struggle to put sustainability into practice. And Greif is there to help you. And we've been focusing on sustainability for a long time, and we continuously develop new services to reduce the impact of your packaging on the environment. And we focus on three main domains: reducing the use of raw materials through down-gauging, for instance, and also developing products made from renewable resources. Our EcoBalance range of products are using PCR, post-consumer resin, as Luca explained, as a basic raw material, and we work hard to improve the quality and the availability of these products across the globe. And through our global Earth-minded network, it's Greif-owned businesses or partnership, we collect, clean, and reuse your used packaging. And we continue to invest in our global network of collection and reconditioning plants. And we recently entered into new partnerships with reconditioning companies, with Centurion, for instance, in the US. And our acquisition of Tulu in the Netherlands is a good example of how we want to further strengthen our recon capabilities with a strong focus on IBCs. And there's definitely more to come. We will keep you posted. I'm sure you heard about the Green Tool. We already worked together with many of you on calculating the impact of our packaging usage on the environment. And that is exactly what the Green Tool does. It provides insight into the environmental impact of your packaging demand across different parameters, of which CO2 is the main driver. And based on this insight, we develop scenarios of how we can reduce impact and choose those options that provide for the best cost-benefit advantage. And we are eager to innovate, and our expertise is there to help you realizing your strategy. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me or any of my colleagues. We highly appreciate and we highly welcome your interest to work together on finding new ways to address the challenges facing our industries and to build a more sustainable future. So I thank you, and with this, I pass it back to Cheryl.
Thank you, Hans, and thank you to our panelists. You all have a wealth of knowledge, and we greatly appreciate your willingness to share this with the audience, and we're very fortunate to have you on the Greif team. As Hans mentioned, in addition to this team, we have a team of experts around the world that are eager to help you with your lubricant packaging needs. So please feel free to reach out to your account manager if you'd like some additional support. So let's go into some of these questions. One was with regards to our IBC and collection network, and I think, Hans, you covered that part very well. Don't see any additional questions with regards to that. Jen, I want to ask you one question, though, is it's great that Greif conducted all this analysis, right? And you're partnering with the lubricant industry. Do you plan to continue to monitor what's going on in the industry, and will you share any of that new information?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yes, so we are continuing to have conversations with you all, our customers, to keep abreast of what some of the challenges are you're facing, as well as we're monitoring some of the key publications and trade shows and events that are occurring in the market. As we learn new things or we see implications of trends or impacts, we will certainly be sharing that out with our customers. But most importantly, we just really look forward to having an ongoing dialogue with you. So please know that this is a really important aspect of how we partner with you. And so if there are learnings or opportunities, please share them with your account manager or reach out to me or anyone in the organization, and we'd be happy to have a conversation with you about that. Great, thank you. And then Alon, with regards to the Drum 360, the decoration drum, there's a question about whether or not it's available in all regions, and does the printing process offer any sustainability benefits? You're on mute, Alon.
Yes, sorry. Yes, to answer the first question, as I explained, the process is available already in Western Europe, so we can deliver France, Spain, UK, Germany, Benelux, Italy, no problem, Poland, even the eastern part of Europe. Excluding for the time being Russia. We are not, it's not available yet in Russia, but it's coming. It's available in Algeria already for North Africa, and we are expanding our capabilities. The first trials will be done for Singapore, for Asia before the end of the year. We are also testing the other plants in North Africa. USA will come at the end of this year as well, or very early next year. And then we will also develop it for Latin America and South Africa as well. And China is also in the list. So it's coming, but it's already available in Europe. So if you are not in Europe and you would like to receive some samples or some trials, no problem. You can do it from Europe, at least to show you the techniques, and then it will come in the other regions. To answer the second question, yes, there is an impact on sustainability, a positive impact compared to the standard drums or compared to the lithography drums, which is used today in Europe. The lithography process needs to go through the printing machine up to 12 times. And every time you go through the machine, of course, you create some CO2. So it's compared to litho, there is no doubt that our techniques, which is based on the digital printing, as explained by Hans, is giving a huge improvement. But compared to the standard drums as well, because we are using the UV techniques for curing the ink or curing the varnish. And so with the UV ink, of course, UV curing, you are consuming far less CO2 compared to the traditional oven when you are using gas, and it costs a lot in terms of CO2 impact. So we are making now the calculations. I cannot give you yet the result. I did not receive the result, but we are making some calculations to evaluate in terms of CO2, what is the real impact of these techniques versus the standard drums.
Great. No, that's great information. And Alain, let's just stay with you for one more question. With regards to the down gauging trend, have you seen any more issues with damaged drums in transportation, especially maybe in those regions where there is poor transportation available?
Yeah, of course. If you have a very difficult transportation in, let's say, very remote locations and very bad roads, you can always have an issue with the drums. But honestly, if from 0.9 to 0.8 millimeter, it should not change a lot the figures. The main point you could have is, as I explained already, is the stress cracking because of the vibrations. And for the stress cracking, we found a solution with the SDB. So, of course, if you have the additives with a high dangerous product and you go far away and you know that it is a very bad transportation, maybe you should keep some higher thickness. But let's say 95% of the case, you can use 888 drums without any issue. Just to give you an example, Lubrizol is one of our main customers in drums for additives, and they are exporting drums from France all over the world in this type of drums, and we do not have any quality issue.
Thanks for sharing that with us. Luca, with regards to the GCube Connect and the GCube Lease, where can we find that offered today? Where is that available?
Well, we started in Europe developing this solution, and today basically you can find it in every country where we are producing MBCs in Europe, but we are now expanded it also in North America. So I'm expecting in the next 2-3 months to be able also to deliver those solutions also there. Again, this is also linked to the connectivity of the device to the different countries, and basically this is running based on the IoT solution, so Internet of Things. So this is connected to internet, and basically it covers almost the globe. So there are some locations in Africa or in Latin America which are not covered, but for the rest you can have visibility of the ABCs now almost globally.
Great. And then with regards to small plastic drums, you mentioned that you offer that in a few regions. Do you plan on expanding that in any areas?
The 20 and 25 liters or 4 and 5 gallons jerrycans, part of the GCR project, is now under the expansions. So it's already available in Singapore, in some countries in Europe, but is under implementation, for example, in Latin America. But the small plastic is really one of the key area of development for Greif overall, not only in the lubricant industry, but we are now planning to expand in new regions. So now we are planning, for example, to start production in Russia. So there are really plans for growing this area, because as we did in IBCs in the last 7 or 8 years, and we will continue to do this, because from 2 sites we are producing a GCube in 12, and it will be expanded in the next few years as well. We are planning to do the same also in small plastic. So this is really part of growth. But while we did it, we wanted as source also to align the design, because we were producing different, slightly different designs, and JCR is the first step to align the design and then to have it expanded as much as possible in the coming years.
Yep. Back to our recollection network, there is a question here that says, are the sustainability solutions such as reconditioning and collection of the drums and the IBCs also available in our Asia Pacific countries? I don't know, Hans or Luca, can you share something there?
Yeah, I can answer regards on IBCs. Yes, we do the collection in Asia Pacific as well, because we have we have seen in the map some local partners which are able to collect IBCs and then to re-enter somehow the IBCs in our loop of reconditioning and so on. So if you are interested in some specific countries, you can reach out to me or to local representatives in order to have those details discussed depending on your specific regions. Yes.
Great. Well, thank you, panelists. I think we've gone through most of our questions today. So before I wrap up, I want to put up a quick question to our audience, just that we have gone over quite a bit of information, and we want to know if you would like to have a Greif representative contact you for some further information. We'll reach out to you after this event is over. At this time, we want to thank you for attending the event today, and we invite you to register for our next Discover Greif webinar series. We've got a couple on slate. We have one with our partners with Trisher at the end of the month, and then we'll focus on UN markings and offering packaging advice in early December before we close out for the year. I also want to ask you, if you want to, in the chat function, let me know if you like this time slot any different, any better than our current, we're doing a different time slot for this session. So we want to know if you like this time better than I think it's 2 p.m. Central European time or 8 a.m. Eastern time is our typical slot. So send me a little note in the chat if you like this time slot better. And in addition, be on the lookout for our smaller regional webinars that are hosted in local languages. I think we have a French webinar tomorrow on steel drums. And we also encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn just to stay up to date with us on any of the Discover Greif webinar events, or engage with us in all things important to industrial packaging. So again, thank you for attending and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, bye.